What's up, YouTubers? It's me, Johnny, doing another video just to give a little quick update on what's going on in the world with the markets. And I just want to show you a few clues of why I think there's going to be more devaluations or a stronger dollar and more weaknesses in emerging market currencies. Basically, it's because the world economy is slowing down quite a bit. The numbers are coming out. The last numbers I saw, Brazil was slowing down. Parts of Asia are slowing down. Korea, Hong Kong, just to name a few. Anyways, I just want to go over this article for a few minutes just to give you clues on why I think this is a big clue. At least in Argentina, they manage their currency, so they don't exactly have a free market. But here's what's going on. Argentines are yanking dollars out of bank accounts at the fastest pace in 14 months. Amid speculation, the government will make it hard for savers to access their foreign currency. Number one, if I was in Argentina, I wouldn't keep U.S. dollar deposits in Argentina, but I recognize it's hard to put your money offshore. If you're an Argentine citizen, the government makes it very, very difficult, to the point where you could buy Bitcoin with your credit card or ATM card, and then you could sell it offshore and then buy dollars. But I think they got rid of that. I'm not 100% sure. Or I don't want to say got rid of it, but they're trying to close off all the loopholes. It's like China basically is as far as getting your money outside of China. But anyways, this is amazing. Individuals and companies withdrew over $400 million from the financial system. The fact that $400 million is 2.5% of their deposits is pretty amazing. You would think Argentina with that much prosperity would have a lot more capital, but it doesn't look like they do. So they withdrew 2.5% in the last 2 days. Oh, I got filled on something. Let us look and see. I got filled on some ETH. I got filled on some ETH options, and I got filled on some Bitcoin options. We're having a bad day in the market, so I'm stocking up on a few options. This is not going to be a long-term trade. But usually when we get into low end of the range, I just buy options, and then when it gets high, I just sell them for a quick trade. Anyhow, getting back to this article. Anyways, it just says basically people with money are getting the money out of the banks and putting the cash in their hot little hands. Because I think they have foreign exchange controls, as far as I understand. It's very difficult to do bank wires outside of the country, but I could be wrong. Maybe for companies, they need permission and they can do it. But for individuals, like average middle class people, I think they make it very, very difficult. All you can really do is start a US dollar account, deposit your money in, and then trust the banks will let you take it out, in the next economic crisis, because that's when you need your dollars, when the next economic crisis is happening, because the pesos are going to tank, and then they freeze your account, and then they either don't let you take your dollars out, or they let you take your dollars, but it's automatically convertible at a really bad rate, so you get screwed either way. That's why if I lived there, I would keep most of my savings offshore. In general, I would keep dollars in, my pocket or in a safe somewhere, not in a bank there. Anyways, I'll just go to this last part of this article where it says the weakness in net reserves and the low credibility of policymakers are fuel that lead any unfounded rumor to cause a fire. That's what they're saying, but to me it's a clue that you better get ready for a big devaluation in Argentina. Now, in Brazil, they're trying to put a happy face on the economy there, but from the numbers that are coming out, it does appear to me that the economy is slowing down. Now, if the economy is slowing down, the president of Brazil, Hair, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but he's going to put pressure on the Reserve Bank to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, you're going to have my understanding is interest rates are at 10% now in Brazil. Like, how are you going to have a growing economy when people are borrowing at 10% or higher? I don't see how that's going to work out too well. And we saw in Turkey what happened when the Turkish Reserve Bank raised their interest rates sky high. Well, the president in Turkey perceived it was sky high, so he put pressure on there. He fired the bank head, and then he basically, I guess, told the new one, you're going to lower rates, and that's what they did. Their currency just got crushed. Less than 2 years ago, it was at 3-1. Now it's at 11 to 13-1, depending on what day it is. So that, anyways, I just want to make a few more comments before I close out this video. Just what's going on in the markets today was not a great day in the markets. We still got people worried about, I don't know, it's not Comey something, it's whatever this new virus is. But as you can see from the screen, the Dow was down 59 points. The S&P 500 was down 38 points, about 0.8%. The Nasdaq got crushed. It was down almost 300 points, almost 2%. The Russell got hit even more, 2%. Crude wasn't down that much, but it's down a third of a percent. But crude was up to $80 a barrel. Now we're down to 62. Now here's my take on the markets. I think we're going into quad one, which is different than quad two. Quad two is when inflation and the growth rate of the economy goes up together. So we've been seeing this high inflation. Quad one is when inflation slows down. I don't claim it's going negative, but it just goes down. So the rate of inflation goes down, or what some people would call disinflation. So we're probably going to go down from 6 or 7%, whatever it is, to like 4 or 5%, maybe even 3%. I think inflation is going to come down to 3 or 4%. And then they're going to inflate like mad because we're going to be in a recession by then. I say in 3 to 6 months. And then inflation will just shoot back up. But that is why I trade the markets, because we don't have long-term stability like when I was a kid. It's really tough to make long-term investment decisions when the Fed is intervening in the markets, when the worldwide Feds, like the EU's version of their Fed, is intervening in the markets like they do. So we saw gold was up almost 1.25%, which is kind of interesting. I personally wouldn't be long gold right now. I think when we get closer to a quad four, which is when everything crashes and burns, in my opinion, that's going to be the time to buy gold. And my prediction is 6 months from now, maybe 9, but I think in 3 to 6 months we're going to be there. I don't know where gold will be, but if it's at 1650 or 1750, somewhere in there, I think gold will bottom out. And I think gold's going to like I think gold's going up to 2,500 to 3,000. And I'm going to be trading that pretty big. I won't say too much more, but in about 6 months, I'll be looking to load up on gold, maybe gold mining shares, juniors, things like that. And by the same token, I will be exiting a lot of these shit coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, just all that stuff. Maybe I'll keep Bitcoin, but I will be exiting a lot of those trades in investments because the percentage gains have been so much. I personally don't want to lose them. But long term, I think they'll be fine, but I'm more of a trader than a buy and hold guy. Another thing we can see here is the 10-year bonds were up. When the number's red, that means interest rates went down. So you have a capital gain of 7.25%. So bonds were at 1.67, I think, about a month ago, and now they're at 1.3. So you would have a nice capital gain. Now again, in quad 4, you want to buy like 20 or 30-year bonds, or TNT would be a good ETF. I personally won't be doing that until we get closer to 3 to 6 months, when I think being in bonds, gold mining shares will really rip up higher. Now, this is contrary to what most people think, so these are just my views. It's how I look at the markets. Looking at the dollar was up, or another way of saying the pound was down 0.5%. The dollar was up. I know the dollar was down against the yen 0.5%. Where's the euro at? Oh, the euro was up a 1/10%. Now, I'm going to say this. I personally think the dollar is going to be strong in the next 3 to 6 months. I'm not sure it's going to be super, super, super strong. That's just my opinion. I just think it's going to be moderately strong. That's why I make the claim that a lot of emerging market currencies, I don't know that they're going to crash, but I would suspect they're going to be down 20% from where they are now. So if you travel around the world in some of your favorite countries, expect another 20% off of things you're going to be paying for there. So while I don't think the dollar is going to be super strong, I just don't think it's going to be that weak. It's just going to hold on to its gains and maybe go up a little bit. I just don't see the dollar getting super weak like a lot of commentators are. I do believe the dollar will get crushed, but again, it's about 6 months from now. That's when I would be shorting the dollar vis-a-vis buying gold and things of that nature. I would not be buying cryptocurrencies at that time. I would just be buying gold and things like that. And then once we were out of what I view as quad 4, then I would maybe jump back into emerging market currencies to go along those. But right now, I wouldn't. I think the yields could go up quite a bit in some of the emerging market bonds and things of that nature in the currencies. If you're a currency speculator, you can take advantage of those yields like on a trading platform. You can get positive carry in some cases. With interest rates now up, you're going to get positive carry in those currencies. I personally wouldn't do it right now. I would wait, but that's just me. Anyhow, that's about it. All I want to say for today. Markets got hit pretty hard. Well, not really hard. I think this is kind of a nothing burger. I can't read the tea leaves. I don't think this new virus is going to amount to much. That's just my opinion. I think some countries are just going to double down on this and restrict their countries and countrymen's ability to travel, work. And other countries just aren't going to do that. So we'll have to see what happens. I personally would prefer to live in countries where none of this really means much. I'm in Central America. None of this really means much. There's a lot of European countries talking like they're going to have internal passports. And it appears to me that's what they're going to do. We'll see how that works out. In fact, an acquaintance from the United Kingdom went to Texas, and he thinks Texas is great and he loves being there and he's glad to be there. But he said there's way more restrictions in Texas than in the UK, because he went into some restaurants, he went into some museums and other big public venues, and you have to show COVID cards. Well, some places you do, or they require it. I'm not saying they actually really need to, but some people are saying you can't come into my place without a COVID card. Whereas he said in the UK where he's at, maybe you have to be vaccinated, but you don't have to prove it to anyone. That's why I keep saying it depends where you are. A lot of it depends on the region of where you are, and then a lot more even depends on what business you're talking about, because some businesses just not going to enforce this, others are. And that's all I got to say about that. But for me, as far as right now today, I don't think this new virus is going to amount to much. I think some countries are going to have to let go of it and open up their country completely. Other countries just are not going to do that. They're just going to double down. Just today, again, take this with a grain of salt. I just read this. I did not go online and confirm this, but I saw the president of El Salvador, Bukele. I can't pronounce his name right, but Bukele. Yeah. The president of El Salvador said you don't need a COVID test to enter the country. You don't need a COVID card to enter the country, and you don't need a test when you get there. You could just come there. My view is more and more countries are going to do like El Salvador and somewhat like Colombia. I say somewhat Colombia, you have to fill out a form, but other than that, you could just fly in there. Mexico's like that. Now, there's going to be places in Latin America where maybe that won't be the case, but in general, I see Latin America, some countries just doubling down, others not. Interestingly enough, an acquaintance of mine entered the Philippines. I didn't talk to him yet. I was wanting to know if he had to show proof of a COVID card, just for the viewers who don't want to, travel with that. But so far, I haven't been able to contact him. But he just entered. I think he entered on some kind of spousal visa, but I might be wrong. But if he entered on a tourist visa without showing a COVID card, I would be interested. Because my view is some of these countries, they may say you may need it, but they may not enforce it. The only reason I mention it is because when I came into Guatemala, in theory, you have to have all that. But if you cross by a land border, they never ask for it. If you come in, and again, if you come in and fly in, they ask for it. But even then, some people I've talked to said, well, sometimes they ask for it. Because some of the people I know, they fly back and forth a lot. Other times, they never do ask for it. So I think over time, some of this is going to fall by the wayside, where the only people enforcing these COVID rules will be the airlines. And then it's just a matter of flying to wherever you got to fly to without it on a specific airline, then crossing on a land border, which may be inconvenient for some of the viewers. For me, I don't care either way. I prefer actually to travel by land borders. That's just me though. But when you got to go east, you got to get on an airplane. So that's what you got to do. So like I want to fly to either Mexico or Brazil to go to the east. And right now things are too much up in the air if you can even do that. That's even with a COVID card. I have a COVID card. Like even if you have it, it's kind of up in the air whether you can actually get there or not. Just today I read Japan had said they're not going to let airlines fly into Japan, and they're not going to let people well, I just heard they stopped the airlines from letting people book passage to come through Japan. Then I heard they just reversed that. This is what I mean. It's all chaotic right now. That's why I'm not traveling until after the holidays are over. And except for any adjacent country I'll go to. But I'm not gonna plan on anything till after Christmas, and I want to see if more and more countries. Well, I want to see how the world divides. Some countries are going to double down on this nonsense. Other countries won't. So I'll make my travel plans based on what I see going forward. Anyways, I want to wish my viewers a nice, safe, happy weekend. And like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.